Welcome to BDJ Daily Torah, a service of B'nai David Judea Congregation in Los Angeles.
In Parsha Re'eh, after talking about Kashrut, after talking about Meiser Sheni, Meiser Ani, the Parsha talks about Shemitah, but not in the way necessarily that we all think of Shemitah in terms of, letting our fields lie fallow. Actually, it talks about Shemitah in terms of it being a year of what Rav Kook calls remission, because basically all outstanding debts are canceled during the year of Shemitah. And the question is, what happens though if the debtor insists on repaying their loan? And Rav Kook notes there's a Mishnah in Masechet Shvis which teaches that if a debtor wants to repay a loan during the 7th year, the lender only needs to formally declare, I am canceling the debt. And then if the borrower replies, nonetheless, I'm going to pay it back, the lender may accept repayment. And that's learned from the pasuk, which basically says this is the matter of Shemitah, or V'zeh diber hashmitah shma kobal Moshe. So basically, it's the fact that it says the word daber says, okay, it's sufficient to just verbally cancel the debt, even though it's actually repaid. And not only that, the Mishnah concludes that it is praiseworthy to do so, to actually repay the loan. So the question is, what's the purpose of the Shemitah year debt remission? Why is it sufficient only to pay lip service? And why did the Mishnah praise people who actually paid, who insisted on paying back their debt? And so what Rav Kook notes is that the 7th year really serves to rectify the social ills and inequalities that can occur in society over time. And that basically, when segments of society borrow from the wealthy, they may feel beholden to the affluent elite. And this form of subservience can even corrupt honest individuals in their dealings with others. So essentially, the Shemitah year comes to correct the situation of inequality and societal rifts by removing, sort of like a major power of the elite, and that's debts owed to them. However, the Torah stresses that a healthy and successful society is not achieved via the annulment of private assets and redistribution of wealth. It's really only the extreme cases of inequality and social injustice that the Torah is seeking to remedy by remitting private debts. So sort of a partial repair of these inequalities once every 7 years. And then he says, but it's important that the cure itself does not lead to a detrimental side effect, namely sort of belittling of personal rights of property and ownership. And therefore, the Torah allows for the cancellation of debts to be limited to formalities, a technical declaration of remission, meaning this is the word of Shemitah. And just like the verbal expression of the right to be released from the financial obligations can suffice to neutralize the feelings of dependence towards lenders. So really, it's just that verbal expression the Torah feels is enough. And the Torah doesn't seek to reduce a borrower's sense of honesty and integrity if the borrower truly wants to repay the loan and is able to do it, and therefore the debtor can reject the offer of remission, really out of a sincere desire not to benefit from the wealth of others. And in fact, Chazal praised that honorable insistence. And so you can see the Torah is really trying to balance, again, creating a healthy society, both on the one hand where things are not too harsh, but yet also giving, really integrity to others who are in the position where they're able to, repay that loan. And so, in terms of a sports analogy, well, it just made me think of the salary cap. Anybody following baseball, and the fact that everyone's talking about next year, there's probably going to be a lockout because basically the owners want a salary cap. Players don't. And really, the idea behind a salary cap is that, all right, you can't have just a few teams with unlimited ability to spend on players, and yeah, which team would that be? And it creates inequality. But I do think, just as the Torah notes, you have to realize that there could potentially be some undesirable side effects where you can't just baseball as an enterprise may not be as successful if it's just full parity among everyone. Part of what makes team sports baseball great is the idea that at times super teams or really good teams, that's what draws people's attention, not sustained mediocrity.
You've been listening to BDJ Daily Torah, a service of B'nai David Judea Congregation in Los Angeles. To learn more about our synagogue, visit bnaidavid.com.